Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Ottercar AI Racing Series here for season number 2, round 4 here today for the Blue Shell 110. And if y'all could probably tell from that opening cinematic here today, here at the Oxford Plains Speedway for the first oval of the season. The first of 3 ovals. 2 more are going to be coming up after this. One more in the regular season, and then one last one about halfway through the playoffs. Up here in Oxford Plains, here in opened up back in 1950. I gotta say, track definitely owner of the most annoying pit road on iRacing. Not only does it have 2 separate pit lanes, but both of these pit lanes are also double-sided, so you effectively have 4 pit lanes going on at this track. Nobody knows where their pit stall is. Nobody knows where their pit stall is in real life either, to be fair. Of course, this is the first time that Ottercar has visited this track up in Maine. It actually did not have AI support when we ran it back in season number 1, which is a little bit weird to think about. That was a year and a half ago. A lot of changes have happened to these AI since then. Of course, this track, known for its late model racing. Of course, we are driving the super late models, so a little bit of a step above what this track is known for in the real world, which is not all that surprising to say, considering it is only 3/8 of a mile in length. That is less than a kilometer here at the Oxford Plains Speedway. That said, drivers are already making their way on down to the starting grid here, so how about we take a look at how things will be lining up for our first oval race of the season. Starting out on the pole here in the number 11 Restaurants Care entry, that's going to be Mr. Ash, starting it off on the pole after a dismal finish last week at the Oran Park Raceway. Starting his outside in the purple and black car, that's going to be the number 1 machine of Med. Third's going to be starting it back in the 3rd position, very fitting for the driver of the black and pink number 3, followed by Kevin 11 in the 7 for the Shelter for Strays team, starting off position number 4. 5th place going to be the 818 of MF Beatus with the best qualifying run he's had so far in season number 2, followed by the 21 of August starting back in position number 6. Row 4 going to be the Brazilian driver, that's Dwayne Day in the number 4, followed by Queen Amatrine, sponsored by Riot Games in the 37 for the Hybrid Development team. Excuse me, no, for the Blazing Drunk drivers. The Hybrid Development team driver is going to be starting back in 9th here. That's the 26 of Rally, followed by their teammate of Ame Sakaramori back in position number 10. 11th place can go back to the 420 machine. That's Oh You Know back there, followed by the 800 of Deeg starting off in position number 12. 13th can go back to the Shelter for Strays driver. That's going to be Pav back there, followed by the 38, excuse me, of Madcap starting back in the 14th position. 15th can go back to the 776 of Valnar for Blazed and Drunk drivers, which I think that's actually Valnar's best start of the season so far as well. Sorkin, runner-up last week in the Australian race, going to be starting off position number 16 here in the 901 entry, followed by the 69 of Chris Cox back in 17th. 18th can go back to the Kill the President driver. That's the 44 of Limited Time, followed by the 030 of Ash, not having a very solid start here this evening, back in 19th. 20th can go back to the 93 of Bloody Wolf, followed by the 330 of Lake back in 21st, also one of those Kill the President drivers. 22nd, going to go back to the 777 entry of Sarah Something, followed by the 985 of Jeremy Elverson in 23, and Drop Table Roster in the 369 back in 24th. And finally, rounding out the tail end of the field here, it's going to be the 666 entry of Zoe, followed by the 88 entry of Ashley. iRacing.com pace car is going to be making the duck down to pit lane this time by. We are going to be going green flag racing for the Blue Shell 110 here at the Oxford Plains Speedway, and green flag is up in the air. Side by side down through turns 1 and 2, and it's really pretty even all throughout the field right now. Everyone really having to stay out of the danger zone here, because those curbs can be incredibly dangerous. That raised section of the track right down through the corners, and it's on both sides of the track as well. As we already have a driver going over the curbing. That was Rally, I think we just saw go over. Caution flag out on the speedway, and oh boy, what do we have going on there? I don't know what quite we just saw, but I'm pretty sure we just lost a camera operator there, race fans. They signed a waiver. It's probably fine. Keyword there being probably. Let's see if we can't take a look back and figure out what all just happened there, but I'm pretty sure we have had someone go out of the speedway here. The truck is saying it started with Sarah something in the 777 entry, which I'm a little skeptical about. Okay. We have late models going everywhere. What? Pardon me? Hold on, we're gonna need to get a top-down view of this. There's a lot here that we need to process. We're also gonna put in quarter speed. So Bloody Wolf hits the curb, and iRacing's physics engine decides that it's going to turn off. Whatever, that's fine, no big deal. But then what about Ashley? Because I believe we also saw Ashley in the 88. That's the driver I'm concerned about potentially hitting a camera operator here. She's going to go over the curb as well. It looks like she's A-okay there. So I don't know who we saw going at extreme speeds towards our camera for about a single frame there. Because it wasn't Bloody Wolf. There was another car that went somewhere crazy off the track. It might have been Oh You Know. Let's actually look down at Oh You Know. That might have been our culprit here. Oh You Know hits the curb, gets launched way up in the air. Sure enough, Oh You Know finding the pipe bomb under the track. These curbs are dangerous. I'll tell you what, race fans, they're not this dangerous in real life. They weren't even this dangerous in practice. But I'll tell you what, we have 110 laps here, so good luck, have fun, don't die. I think that's about the only advice I can give here. Once again, Pete Comedy doing what he does best and sabotaging the races. Typical Pete Comedy. So we're going to try this thing again here. Ash and Med still your front row when we come to the green. Thirds and Kevin 11 still row 2. Green flag back up in the air. We're going to be trying this thing again here. 9 laps in the books here at the Oxford Plains Speedway. So far, so good through turns 1 and 2. Everyone seems to be behaving themselves. Let's see if we can't get a top-down view of this. Maybe not so much. We've got word of a car off the track, potentially. Queen Ametrine and Rally both off the track, both trying to get it rolling here again. The caution flag has not come out yet. Another car stopped out of the track. That's Ame Sakaramori. I'm surprised that the caution flag has not flown for these drivers going off the speedway, but I guess iRacing said they're off the racing surface. It doesn't matter. Because, of course, on the ovals here, we are using iRacing's automated cautions instead of manually thrown ones. And iRacing says that that's A-okay. So, you know what? More power to them. Currently looking at the battle for second here between Thirds and Med. Thirds down on the inside line in that bright pink and black Pathfinder number 3 car. Now that we've got some green flag laps going, it seems, keyword here tentatively, is it seems like everyone is behaving themselves a little bit better. Already seeing drivers coming back out of pit lane, drivers that were involved in that initial incident. And it's still a complete cluster up at the front of the field. MF Beatus making contact with the number 7 of Kevin 11 there just a bit through the corner. Again, nearly making contact. MF Beatus goes over the curve. They both spin around. MF Beatus brings it to a stop, but no, he keeps going. He's okay. Did not quite get exploded. Oh, Pav's off the track. Pav off the speedway in that number 12. He's still got it rolling. He's bringing it back on the speedway. iRacing is still saying that this is not a problem and we don't need a caution. Ash is upside down. Okay, this is getting a little bit ridiculous. Let's just do it the manual way here. There's death happening on the speedway. I need a moment to catch my breath and see what exactly has gone down here in these last 3 to 5 laps, because we have seen cars all over the field completely fall apart here. I guess the first question, let's go back a couple laps and see what happened to Ame Sakaramori back on lap 10 here. Side by side with the 800 of Deeg. Deeg pushes down into it and hard into the outside wall. Then we had the same thing happen to Queen Ametrine. Or not. She's just already off the track. I don't know what happened to her there. But then we go a little bit further forward, and the same thing happens to Pav, who also just gets absolutely jettisoned off the speedway here by Amephitis. He tries to hang on to it, tries to bring it to a stop, and just not quite enough able to. But then Ash. Ash was the race leader when we finally threw this caution, battling it out with those Formula V blocker cars, and once again Ash manages to find a pipe bomb under the surface of the track, and that just absolutely sends him flying. Let's take a moment to ride on board with the driver of the number 11 machine here and see what all went down from a driver's eye view for Ash in the number 11 machine. I'll tell you what, race fans, curbs are not supposed to do that. So already tons of drama here out on the speedway. Our bottom, call it about our bottom 8 have wrecked out of the race so far. And we're only 21 laps into this 110 event. Med's now being scored as our race leader. Thirds is going to be starting to the outside here in the number 3 as the leader for the outside lone. Then it's going to be Kevin 11 and Dwayne Day, Deeg and MF Beatus for row 3, and then row 4 going to be the 69 of Chris Cox and the 030 of Ash, both up plus 10 positions right now. So I'll tell you what, these two drivers are having a field day so far this evening, and we're still in the early goings of this thing. Green flag back up in the air again. We're going to try this thing once again here at the Oxford Plains Speedway. Thirds and Meds side by side for the race lead, but that outside line just has not come in so far here in this event. Little bit of contact there between Thirds and Med, but they're still both A-OK for the time being. Thirds really committed to trying to make that pass happen out on the outside, but it's just not quite working out for her. Another driver off the track, but doesn't have any damage this time around. That's the 777 of Sarah something. She's going to bring it back up on the speedway without any issue. Still side by side for the race lead between Thirds and Med. Side by side, and it looks like they're actually starting to come up on the blocker cars already. This might be Third's opportunity to take the race lead here from that number 1 machine. They're going to slam each other into the curb, but fortunately no landmines found this time around, and Thirds has cleared the number 1 machine. She is going to be your new race leader here on lap number 27. Caution flag out on the speedway, though. We have multiple cars around. Ash is off the speedway again. I don't know how he got back on the speedway prior to that explosion that went off about 5 laps ago, but Ash came back on the track and has proceeded to go off the track again. Apparently one of the blocker cars has also exploded and is also blocking the number 1 of Med, and that looks like it might be pushing her a lap down here. We've got a lot of process here. There were multiple incidents that happened at the same time that caution flag came out. So let's just break them down one by one here. First incident here, once again, a driver that already exploded by pipe bomb earlier in the race and somehow back out on the track. This is going to be the 26th rally. We're just going to put it in slow motion here so we can even pretend to process what's going on in these sub 15-second laps. Rally makes contact with the 44 of limited time. Goes off the track, tries to keep it pointed in the right direction. Of course, once you get off that asphalt, good luck controlling your car. Doesn't look like Rally's going to actually hit anything, though. Nope. Well, Rally's going to find the invisible wall at the edge of the track. That's exactly what Rally's going to find. That's going to be potentially race-ending damage for the number 26 driver. So let's break it down. Let's go now over to Ash here in the Restaurant's Care entry. Also involved in an incident side by side with the 985 of Jeremy Albertson here. And it looks like Jeremy Albertson is just going to shove him into the turtle. And that's exactly what he's going to do, and Ash is going to have an identical flip. Identical to the first flip that he had about 5 laps prior to this one. I'll tell you what, it's a miracle this driver has not gotten multiple concussions yet, but it's entirely possible we'll see him come back out on the speedway, because again, there's not actually really any damage on that car. Then the actual cause of the caution flag apparently was for the blocker cars getting up to some tomfoolery. Let's take a moment to see what all went down. The blocker car just self-spins. The caution flag comes out not for the nuclear bombs going off on the track, but for a blocker car spinning itself off and blocking the Ottercar drivers. You gotta love it. Race Control is having a field day today. Who cares about the cars being sent into orbit? What matters here is the blocker car self-spinning. Regardless, we're going to try this again. Third caution flag already in the books. Thirds and Dwayne Day, now your front row. MF Beatus and Ash going to be making up row number 2. Sarkin and Madcap actually going to be row 3. Green flag back up in the air. Let's see if Dwayne Day can make the same move happen on thirds that thirds did to Ash. We also have a lapped car coming back on the speedway. That's the 69 of Chris Cox coming back on the track and completely blocking everyone. That's going to send MF Beatus into the curb. Everyone gets checked up just a little bit. Caution flag back out on the speedway because Pete Comedy had to come back up into the field. Let's take a look back and see what happened here, because Race Control is actually saying this was caused by Valnar. That is not Valnar. Let's try this again. Race Control is saying this was caused by Valnar. I'm not sure how, because Valnar is on pit lane at the time of caution. He is following the pace car out. He touches the curb. That's not great. And surprise, there's 2 blocker cars in the way. So again, we have a caution flag that has come out because the blocker cars can't get their act together. The blocker cars are having more problems than the Ottercar drivers are. Once again, a blocker car self-spins, nearly hits one of our lovely provided ramps here at the Oxford Plains Speedway. If y'all can see down there in the infield, didn't want any cars touching their precious lampposts, so what better way to protect them than putting ramps around them? Trust me, you do not want to hit them. It is a very, very bad time. We're cycling this field out under caution still, though. Multiple drivers down on pit lane here. Ash Med, that looks like August. Oh, you know, coming back out off the speedway. Queen Amatrine's down there as well. Looks like the 03 of O of Ash is behind Queen Amatrine there. Then it's going to be Ame Sakaramori, and now we see Pav coming back out on the speedway in the red Hellman's Mayonnaise entry. A wonderful sponsor out there on that number 12 machine. Lights are still on the iRacing.com pace car, but the front row still going to be Dwayne Day in thirds. Dwayne was able to make the pass on the number 3 machine at the time of caution, so he is going to be scored as our race leader coming to this restart in that number 6 machine. Dwayne Day, of course, a newcomer here to the Ottercar series, but the owner of that entry was last season's champion, also proud driver, one singular Ottercar driver that is not in the Discord. Cough, cough. Well, what a dramatic race it has been so far. Here's hoping that it has been a little bit more stable than our past broadcasts have been. We're going to try this thing again, though. Green flag up in the air. Thirds and Dwayne Day, your front row. Then it's going to be Ash, Sarkin, and Jeremy Albertson, your top 5. We are racing here at the Oxford Plains Speedway, and immediately trouble for Ashley and Med. Ashley in the number 88 car seen turn around on the speedway, and she's not able to get it going here because here comes the entire rest of the field. Let's see if we can't take a look here and see what all went down to bring out this yellow flag. I have a hunch at what all happened here. Coming to the green flag, there are blocker cars in the way. Ashley in that 88 having to check up just a bit, and there's a checkup, and everyone comes piling in. Yep, sure enough. Let's take a look back. Let's get a top-down view of this. We come to the green flag. Nobody is expecting the blocker cars to do their job, but sure enough, they are here at the Oxford Plains Speedway, and everyone slams on the brakes. It causes a big ol' accordion effect, and not everyone was mentally or emotionally prepared for that to happen. Let's jump back a little bit. Let's ride on board with Med, who was caught up in the incident there. Med's a little bit further back. But let's take a moment to ride on board with Med here on that restart and just see how much of a disaster that was coming to the green. Everyone's going A-okay until we head down to turn number 1, and then surprise, everyone's slamming on the brakes. I'll tell you what, it's like none of these drivers have ever been to driving school or got a driver's license or anything here. Everyone's struggling a little bit here this evening. Right now, we only have 4, no, excluding the blockers. The blockers don't count. We only have 4 Ottercar drivers still on the lead lap here. Everyone is all over the place right now. We're 45 laps into this event. Caution flag number 5. I believe the lights are out on the pace car. Sure enough, they are. So we will be going green flag racing this time by, but I don't know how long that's going to last because there's a blocker car between our front row and our second row. So it's just going to be a showdown between Dwayne Day and thirds here come to this green, and everyone else is just going to have to cope and seethe behind the blocker cars. Green flag up in the air. We're trying this thing again. Really have no idea how long this is going to last. Zoe down there is doing something in the infield. I don't even want to know what's going on down there. That's not my problem anymore. Sure enough, race fans, we managed to complete one whole green flag lap without the caution flag coming back out again. I didn't know that was humanly possible, but we managed to get it done. Still side by side for the race lead between Dwayne Day and thirds, duking it out for the win. Of course, thirds has already taken home a win here in Ottercar, so she is already locked into the next round of the playoffs right now. Dwayne Day, on the other hand, I believe is actually outside of the cutoff bubble for entering the playoffs right now. So Dwayne Day could really use this win over the number 3 machine. Right now, it is neck and neck for the lead. Both of these drivers are not giving each other any quarter here. 50 laps in the books, not even halfway here through the evening. Limited time is off the speedway in that number 44. No damage on it. He's going to get it rolling once again. Has to bring it back up onto the track, and that's going to be a little bit of a headache. But he is going to be able to make it happen. No, he's not. Caution flag is going to be coming out for a slow car on the speedway. Thank you, limited time, for bringing out that caution that nobody asked for. On the bright side, though, that 800 of Deeg should be a happy capper, because provided Deeg does not come down pit lane, Deeg will get the lucky dog position, be put back on the lead lap here under this yellow. What a disaster this race has been, race fans. What a situation. What a scenario. There are no words to describe the drama that is going down here. But speaking of drama, our 2 race leaders have elected to come down pit lane. That is going to cycle Ash in the 030 machine up to the race lead, followed by Kevin 11 in the 7. That should be the one and only pit stop these 2 drivers need to make, provided that they don't get any sort of damage throughout this event. For the time being, though, let's take a moment. Let's look back at what all happened to Mr. Limited Time here. 3 wide with MF Beatus and Drop Table Roster. Drop Table Roster shoves MF Beatus up into limit time. Limit time goes off the track, able to get it stopped before hitting that very car-proof chain link fence they have on the outside of the track, protecting these cars from the outside world, such as it were. But limited time, nice enough to bring it back up onto the speedway and park it for the caution flag to come out. I think in any other race series they'd call that race manipulation, but here in Ottercar, I can't be asked to do anything about it, so sounds like a whole lot of not my problem. It's going to be Ash and Kevin 11 as your front row. That number 11, Ash with an E, is a lapped car here. Looks like he is staying out to try and get waved around the pace car in that number 11 machine, currently being scored back in the 28th position, roughly 22 laps down in that number 11 machine. But he should be getting waved around the pace car here, sure enough, so he will be getting a lap back here. And that's going to have our front row be Ash and Kevin 11. Then once again, we are in the same scenario where we have two blocker cars dividing the entire rest of the field from our lead battle. And of course, Ash and Kevin 11 here, neither of these drivers have taken home a win so far here in Ottercar season number 2. So these are two drivers that could really be using one. Green flag back up in the air. We're trying this again. Let's see how long this one lasts. My sources say probably not very long. Kevin 11 struggling on that outside line, though. He immediately falls back almost a full half a second from our race leader. Ash is just pulling away here in that 030 machine. Thirds and Dwayne Day battling it out for the third position. Thirds got her win here in Ottercar. She is locked in. And we have caution flag number 7 out on the speedway. Word is saying that it is for August and limited time again. I don't even know if I want to know at this rate race ends. Let's see if we can't take a look back here and see what just happened. I'm not even seeing August on the timing and scoring screen, but let's try this again, see what all went down here as we cause our 7th caution of the evening. We're already 3 wide. That's our first issue. 3 wide between Drop Table Roster, Limited Time 44 and 21 of August. Those two inside cars, the 369 Missing Texture car and the all-white McDonald's McRib car, those are teammates side by side right there. And I can't wait to see these two teammates inevitably kill each other. No, not actually, not quite. It's more like everyone checks up for the blocker car in front of them, and everything goes to hell in a handbasket, as it tends to do here in the Ottercar AI Racing Series. Let's get another look back at that, looking at August and the 44 machine just behind. Everyone slams on the brake for the blocker car, and famously slamming on the brakes at a track where you are setting 14-second laps. Historically don't go very well together. You shouldn't be braking each other, brake checking each other at a racetrack. That doesn't work. August not really getting any damage there. He's still out on the speedway. And it looks like a couple of drivers getting the wave around here. Ash in the 030 still being scored as your race leader. That's going to be Kevin 11. Thirds, Dwayne Day, Jeremy Albertson, and Madcap. Your drivers that are on the lead lap here. So Madcap has gotten back up on the lead lap. Deeg is being scored 1 lap down, as well as MF Beatus. Then Sark and Sarah Something Limited Time, all 2 laps down. Then it's going to be Chris Cox down 4 laps, Med down even more, and then it all falls apart from there. Regardless, iRacing.com pace cars, lights are turned off. We're going to try this once again. 7 cautions in the book, 63 laps here in the Blue Shell 110. I'll tell you what, I don't even think any of these drivers have thrown the blue shells yet. When are the blue shells going to be thrown? When are we going to see the leader hit a pipe bomb? Green flag up in the air once again, and the entire field behind our leaders is all stacked up behind the blocker cars. There is only one way that this can end, and that is very poorly. Everyone's managing to navigate their way around them. So far, so good. I say that Kevin 11, race leader, is off the track. And he is missing both ends of his car. He's going to take the tow back to pit lane. So Ash is now back to our leader. Another driver off the track. That is MF Beatus having a hard impact into the outside wall in that 818 machine. We're still rolling, though. iRacing's just deciding these drivers off the track apparently don't matter. Thank you, iRacing. Entirely unbiased race control. There we go. Now it's going to bring out the caution flag. 8th caution here on the speedway. I think our longest green flag lap has been about 5 laps. But naturally, now we got to take a moment to break down what all happened under that green flag stint, because we had multiple cars go off, including race leader Kevin 11, just getting shoved off the track by thirds hard into the outside invisible wall, courtesy here of the Oxford Plains Speedway. What kind of racetrack does not have invisible walls to protect the cars from going into even more empty space? We can't allow that. That's potentially terminal race-ending damage for Kevin 11. Then further up the field, we have an incident between MF Beatus and it looks like the 901 of Sarkin. Sure enough, Sarkin just shoving that 818 off the track the same way we saw thirds do it to Kevin 11. A little bit less damage on that 818 machine, but he could still potentially have engine damage, and that might be the end of the race for the 818 machine as well. And that it doesn't even seem like that's what brought out the caution flag. It looks like another incident with the blocker cars is what caused this caution flag to actually come out. Then you look down here at the 556. Of course, the number on the blocker car. This is the same blocker car that have self-spun 4 times now. Who let these blocker cars race? They're not blocking, they're just crashing themselves out at this rate. Regardless, we go back to live. Ash in thirds, your front row still. That's going to be Dwayne Day, Jeremy Albertson, and Madcap and Deeg. Your drivers still on the lead lap here. Everyone else is now more than a lap down. So it's going to be curious to see if any of these drivers manage to get back on the lead lap. Of course, we could have our top leading 8 all crash out, and then everyone else could theoretically be back on the lead lap. Anything is possible here in Ottercar, here at the Oxford Plains Speedway for the Blue Shell 110. Let's try this thing again. 8 cautions, 72 laps. We can only hope and pray that this goes a little bit better this time. Green flag back up in the air. So far, so good down through turns 1 and 2. Of course, who knows how long that's going to last. Dwayne Day eats the inside curb a little bit, comes up into the 985 of Jeremy Albertson. Albertson's going to lose the position and battling it out. Albertson gets shoved off the racetrack, but the caution flag is out. So realistically, Jeremy Albertson getting shoved off the track is of very little consequence. He got very lucky there that another driver crashed out. Oh, please don't tell me that Jeremy Albertson just beached himself. It is distinctly looking like that 985 machine has beached itself on the little curve. Oh my lord, Jeremy Albertson. Give it up for Jeremy Albertson. No damage whatsoever from that incident, but he sure as hell beaches himself trying to come back onto the track. Baller praise by the number 985. He's going a lap down now. Congratulations. So you look back here and see what actually caused caution flag number 8, 9, maybe. I've lost count here. But another caution flag, and it's saying that this one is for the 777 entry of Sarah something. Having a little bit of issues here as we try and take it 4 wide. Oh, Valnar! Val, you can't just kill people like that. Also, Sarah, you can't just rejoin the track like that. Nothing in those last 5 seconds was in the Bible. You can't do that. That's against the rules. Alright, let's take another look back at this. try and process whatever the hell is going on here as Sarah something gets launched into orbit, courtesy of Valnar. And then she just comes back up on the track like nothing happens. It's no big deal. Ain't nothing but a thing. I have never seen a driver go head over heels and then slam the car into reverse as quickly as Sarah something did. She was committed to get back in this race. If that caution flag didn't come out, she would be just right back in it. I don't know whether to be impressed or scared here, quite honestly. Not one little bit. Let's take one last look back here. Let's ride on board with Sarah something as we go into this incident. You already see Valnar having a hell of a time up there. She tries to make the pass happen on the outside. She's making it work. She's making it work. Nope, not anymore. There's a 776. And immediately slams it in reverse and gets back on the racing surface. What a play by Sarah something. I am at a loss for words for these Ottercar drivers at this rate. Green flag back up in the air here. Ash leading the way with thirds and Dwayne Day following in pursuit. Then it's going to be Madcap and Deeg battling it out as our final 5 cars on the lead lap here, and we have trouble on the speedways. It looks like Valnar has crashed again. I'll tell you what, none of these damn drivers are getting a bonus point for having an incident-free race. Not a single damn one of y'all. Let's take a look back here. See what disasters unfolded for, I believe, caution flag number 10. I wasn't even looking at the caution counter at this rate. Saying between Oh You Know and Valnar. This is the first time I believe no, this is not the first time we've seen Oh You Know, because Oh You Know was involved in that very first caution where he went flying into the cameraman. Let's take a look back here. We're just going to put it slow motion to open things up here and try and break down the situation. Once again, it looks like a blocker car is at fault for this tomfoolery. At least for the time being. Of course, Oh You Know in that Pop-Tarts Wild Berry entry. Valnar is 5 cars back, so I don't know why it's saying Valnar is at fault for this incident, but Oh You Know slams on the brake to not hit the blocker car, and uh-oh, there comes everyone else. There's Chris Cox having to slow down just a little bit. Oh You Know going to go up into Ash and into August. Everyone's swerving to avoid him here. Lake gets collected. Ashley gets collected again. So does Valnar. That's going to bring out caution flag number... whatever caution we're on at this rate. Caution flag number 10 here in 84 laps. We're having more cautions than we are laps at this rate. But no matter what happens, someone will come home with a win at the end of this race. We don't really have any trophies here in Ottercar. You might get a nice little pat on the back, but right now, the real tenacity is for our top 5. Ash, thirds, Dwayne Day, Madcap, and Deeg still holding on as our only drivers still on the lead lap here. They're doing their best. 25 to go here in the Ottercar AI Racing Series. We're going to be trying this thing once again here at the Oxford Plains Speedway. I'll tell you what, the people who own this racetrack are not going to be happy with the amount of property damage that we have managed to cause here in today's event. They have insurance, right? They signed paperwork for this. Green flag back up in the air. We're trying this thing once again here at the Oxford Plains Speedway. Ash off to an early lead, side by side between thirds and Dwayne Day. She's pushed up to the outside line. If nothing else, that's got her back in the 3rd position, but why finish 3rd when you can finish 1st? Deeg down there also stuck side by side with Madcap. Jeremy Albertson has crashed out. Caution flag on the speedway. He goes over the curb. He probably just caused even more damage to the underside of that car than he already had. And he's thrown the cone up onto the racing surface, getting innocent bystanders involved in this caution. Tisk, tisk, Jeremy Albertson, bringing out caution flag number 11 in that 985 entry. So take a look back here. Let's see what disasters we can have caused today. There's a blocker car sending it 3 wide. That's pretty much typical here for this. Oh, well. Just gets the left rear tire into the curb, and all of the blocker cars get blocked by Jeremy Albertson. He's turning the tables here. The tables have been turned here as the blocker cars get blocked by none other than Mr. Jeremy Albertson in the 985 entry. Just getting the right rear down on the curb, and that sends him spinning around. Unfortunately, Lake has to check up for him as well, but he blocked all the blocker cars, and I think he should get a medal for that. Won't be worth anything from the point standings, but Jeremy Albertson, special recognition, blocking the blocker cars. So we're 20 to go here. I'm a little bit afraid that we might see Ottercar actually end under caution for the first time. Currently, AI races here on the iRacing.com platform do not have the option to go into overtime. So if a caution flag comes out in the last few laps, that's kind of it. That's all we got. Everyone on the speedway has made their pit stop at some point or another. Ash on lap 42, Dwayne Day on lap 52, Thirds also on lap 52. That's going to be Madcap also on 42, Deeg on 35. So Dwayne Day and Thirds are on the best condition tires of our drivers still on the lead lap. Speaking of drivers on the lead lap, Limited Time has gotten the lucky dog enough times that he's back on the lead lap as well. So he's going to be in this battle for the lead. 17 to go when we go green flag racing once again here. Everyone getting ready for another shit show. It's only going to get more disastrous from here in our final closing laps of round 4 of the season. We're going to try it again, though. Green flag up in the air. Ash in the 030 machine. Again, off to a really solid start. Side by side for Thirds and Dwayne Tay. These two have been at each other's throats all race. Limited Time getting incredibly loose coming out of turn number 4. He has to check up, and that's going to allow all of these lapped cars to pretty much completely swallow him here. He is just sailing back to the tail end of the field. Incident for one of the blocker cars apparently, but we're still green flag racing, so frankly I don't really care. That blocker car is definitely in an unsafe spot, but the iRacing.com for automated race control says it's a-okay. We're keeping it green flag racing here. No, we're not. Caution flag back out on the speedway. Typical block. It's the same blocker car again. Can't do anything right here. Blocker car number 4. He spins it around. You know what? Whatever. That's fine. No big deal. But my caution flag's going to come out when he tries to bring it back up onto the track and then decides to park it. That is what caused the caution, because he decided to park it there. I'll tell you what, race fans, some of these drivers really need to be disqualified for race manipulation here. That's just some shit. Anyways, going back to live. It's going to be about a 9-lap shootout, I think, when we go back green flag racing here. What an event. 12 cautions is a new record for the entirety of the Ottercar AI Racing Series. I believe our old record, I want to say, was 7 at the right-hand oval of Tsukuba 1000 back in Ottercar season number 1. One of those wildcard rounds. But sure enough, Oxford Plains has blown it out of the water here for the Blue Shell 110. Everyone's trying to get themselves lined up in the right position. Race control's a little bit confused on where these drivers need to be. They're a little bit confused on where they need to be. But it looks like Sarkin is going to be getting the wave around here and getting put back on the lead lap. Sarkin is back on the lead lap in the 901 machine. I'll tell you what, though, some of these drivers' changes in position kind of all over the place. Ash right now in the 030 machine leading this race is up plus 18. Third's only up plus 1 from where she qualified. Dwayne Day up plus 4. Deeg up plus 8. Madcap plus 9. Limited time plus 12. And Jeremy, some of these drivers that aren't even on the lead lap are up crazy amounts too. Jeremy Albertson and Zoe, 11th and 13th, both nowhere near the lead lap right now, are both up plus 12 regardless. Regardless, it'll be 9 laps when we cross the line here for the Ottercar AI Racing Series. We're trying this thing once again here at the Oxford Plains Speedway. Once again, the story remains the same at the front. Really solid start for Ash, but thirds and Dwayne Day at each other's necks. They just need this race to go green, and they can probably catch up to that 030 machine at some point here. Only 8 laps left to go, and mind you, that's about 2 minutes of racing. They're setting 14-second lap times. Madcap having trouble back in the back. He hits the curb. He has to check up, and that's going to allow some of the lap cars to get around him. 7 laps left to go here at the Oxford Plains Speedway. Kevin 11 goes off the speedway. Caution flag out once again as Kevin 11 gets sent to the Shadow Realm, presumably, from what... Oh, yeah. Okay, Shadow Realm is the official word for Kevin 11. It is not often that we see a driver instantly get towed to pit lane unless something truly catastrophic happens. Not quite the Shadow Realm for Kevin 11. Our race control notifications made that seem a little bit more dramatic than that actually was here. But still a very hard impact for the driver of the number 7. And I don't even think there's car contact there. Hold on, let's break out the chopper camera. Get a top-down look of this. Because I don't even think that there was car contact there. I think Kevin 11 wrecked himself swerving to avoid the incident. That's what it looks like to me. Let's slow it down here. Looking down at the 7 of Kevin 11, as MF Beatus is nowhere near the racing line down there in the bottom right. So there's a bit of a swerve from the 666 entry. Okay, they do make contact. So it's not just Kevin 11 being a dummy. There was contact there. And that's going to take the 7 machine out of the race. I mean, he's already back in 29th, so it's not like that's doing a whole lot to affect his race. Regardless, we're going to do a little bit of race manipulation here of our own. Ruin the immersion by bringing up the UI. I don't care at this rate. We're going to go 1 to green now, so that we can have a 2-lap shootout to the finish here. So we have shortened the caution flag artificially here for caution number 13, and we're going to try this thing again. Green flag going up in the air for the final time here at the Oxford Plains Speedway, and we are getting things rolling here. And I think Ash has it in the book. I don't think Dwayne Day or Thirds is going to be able to catch up to that 030 machine in 1 more lap. White flag up in the air here at the Oxford Plains Speedway. Larry the Flagman's not very enthusiastic about it, but we are ending this race one way or another. And as we come down through turns 3 and 4, Ash is going to take the win. Thirds and seconds side by side for Dwayne Day and Madcap. With the line, Dwayne Day is going to have the final podium position. Thank the Lord we managed to get through that one, race fans. What an event. Here at the Blue Shell 110, the 030 of Ash going to be locking himself into the playoffs here. 4 races so far here in the Ottercar AI Racing Series. 4 unique drivers making their way into the playoffs. It's going to be Ash, Thirds, and Rally so far as it stands. 3 more races up for grabs for drivers to lock themselves in. Then those final 5 spots are all going to be filled based on the current championship points at the end of race number 7. So some of these drivers starting to get into the hot seat here. We only got 12 spots for 26 drivers to make it into the playoffs. That said, before we sign it off here for the evening, let's take a look down at our race results as they stand. And of course, remember here, these blocker cars do not count for the championship standings. So everyone who is behind a blocker will be gaining positions. Ash in the 030 manages to take home the win, thirds in the Shelter for Strays entry. That's the number 3. Ran home back on the podium for position number 2. Third place going to go back to the number 4 of Dwayne Day, followed by Madcap in the 38 for Blades and Drunk Drivers, and Deeg in the Shelter for Strays entry, bringing it home position number 5 in their best ever finish. Limited time in the Kill the President entry with their first finish on the lead lap as far as I'm aware, followed by Sarkin in the 901 back in 7th. Then it's going to be Chris Cox back in position number 8. Ninth going to go back to the 985 of Jeremy Albertson, followed by the 21 of August back in 10th. 11th going to go to the 666 entry of Zoe, followed by the 776 of Valnar back in 12th for Blaze and Drunk Drivers. 13th and 14th going to go back to the other 2 Kill the President drivers. That's going to be Drop Table Roster and Lake, followed by Pav back in 15th and Sarah Something in 16th in the 777 entry. 17th going to go back to Mr. MF Vetus, followed by 18th to Bloody Wolf, 19th to Ashley with Oh You Know, bring it home back in 20th. Ash with an E going to be bringing it back home in 21st. Ame Sacramori in 22nd, followed by Rally in 23rd. Queen Amatrine, sponsored by Riot Games, back in 24th, with Kevin 11 bringing it home at the tail end. No, Kevin 11 and Med, excuse me, bringing it home back at the tail end of the field here. That said, that's just about all we got here for the Blue Shell 110 at the Oxford Plains Speedway. Thank you all so very much for tuning into today's event. What a show that one has been so far here in season number 2. Next week, heading up to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin for the Cheese Rubber Grand Prix at Road America. For now, though, thank you all for tuning in, and I will see y'all next week. Have a good evening, race fans.